Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's edition of Boredom Busters with Lincoln Children's Museum. Today is Tuesday, April 14th, and we are focusing on space this week because April is Global Astronomy Month. Now, yesterday we talked about the sun a little bit, but what we did not talk about was what the sun gives us in the form of shadows. So today we're going to be learning all about shadows. Now we have everything here is linked below for you to download, and we have our little printable today. We're gonna help Kazoo, because everything has a shadow here, but oh no, their shadows are all mixed up. So see if you can help Kazoo figure out whose shadow belongs to who. Now that's one you can just do right on your computer screen, or you can print it out. And we have our book recommendation today is called Moon Bear's Shadow by Frank Ash. And in fact, one of the activities that I have for you today, it is produced by the NISENet, which is the National Informal STEM Education Network, STEM being science, technology, engineering, and math. They provide so many amazing lessons with all of the materials to museums and other things like that. So I'm going to show you with the actual official things from that kit, but we do have printables available for you to do at home. Now, the lesson is based around this story, so I definitely recommend listening to this story first and then trying to complete the challenges. We also have a video recommendation today. It is Light and Shadows for Kids, because after all, what is a shadow? So you may have noticed that when you go outside, or if there's a light on in your house, there are shadows. Now, what causes a shadow? Because sometimes it looks like the thing that is casting the shadow, but sometimes it can be hard to tell what it is. Now, shadows happen when light from the sun or a lamp or a flashlight or any light source, that light, when it hits me, now I'm not clear, I'm not transparent, so I block the light. Now, if the light hits a window, does the light stop or does it keep going? Now, a window is transparent. So that means that light can travel through it and it doesn't really cast a shadow at all. But I am opaque. I stop light right in its tracks. Though my shadow is the light, it hits me, but there's light coming all around me too. So it hits the ground where I don't stop it. And you can see shadows from anything that is opaque, like your pet, your cat, or your dog has a shadow, a cake has a shadow. Anything that's opaque will cast a shadow. Now, we can, over here, I have this set up, we're going to make a sundial today. Because back before there were clocks with batteries or anything plugged into the wall, we had to figure something out for time. So people made a sundial. Because have you ever noticed that the sun moves across the sky during the day and your shadow will actually change and move? So people invented the sundial. So here I've got my supplies. You need a cardboard tube, a square of cardboard. I'm quite sure you could probably use your imagination, get creative. You could probably figure out how to do this with a stick. You could figure out how to do it with a pencil and glued to a piece of paper. Now I'm going to use a hot glue gun because it is just pretty effective. But it does also work if you have some masking tape. Masking tape can work too. So I'm going to get some glue here on my cardboard. And just put that right in the middle. Now we need to wait for that glue to cool down. And of course, It's not drying, it's cooling down because it's so hot, it melted the plastic, and now we're waiting for it to cool down. Now a hot glue gun, that's gonna be grown-up hands only if you have one at your home. If you have tape, you might try to figure out how to get that on yourself. All right, well, once this cools down, you're going to need to find a nice sunny place in your home where this won't get bonked around, because it's very important that it stays in the same place so you can track the sun's movement throughout the day. Now, I'm going to do it a different way. But first, actually, let's look at this. I see one shadow here and a little bit more of a shadow over here. And that's because we have lights in our ceiling. So each light is hitting the tube and casting its own shadow. So I have a flashlight here. It's pretty fun. We just happen to have these. Came from that NiceNet kit, so it looks like the sun. So as the day goes by, well, the sun would rise and the shadow's over here. As it goes across the sky, the shadow moves. You see that? That shadow is changing location. So when the sun first comes up, ideally you would be able to mark this every hour on the hour, because that's the most accurate way. So you want to find the middle right there, draw a line, then an hour later, find the middle, draw a line, and don't forget to write down what time it was when you drew these lines. So let's pretend, because when I put this one up right here, the sun was rising, so we can pretend that that was at 10 a.m. So you'd want to write 10 a.m. And then an hour later, an hour after 10 a.m. is 11 a.m. Now you'd keep going, check in on it every hour. Where is that shadow? Draw a line, write the time. And if you leave that right there in that same window, you will be able to tell the next day. Just check and see where the shadow is. So if my shadow was right here, I could say, I'm pretty sure it's 10 a.m. If it's halfway between, well, what's halfway between 10 and 11? 10:30. And maybe it's 11:30 when the shadow's there. So you can use that as your clock once you get all of those times written on there. Now, take pictures of it, show us how it looks, let us know. All right, now we're gonna move over here where I have set up, this is the whole kit from the NiceNet, from Moon Bear's Shadow. Now, it comes with this really nice mat, but we have for you a printable, and you can, of course, if you don't have a printer at home, just draw your own picture. So what we have here is a little pond with some fish in it. And that is part of some of the little challenge cards here. So with this one, we're going to just explore where the shadows are. So I've got a tree, a tiny bear, a medium bear, and a big bear. Now right now, if the sun is kind of behind them, where are their shadows? So the sun, here comes the light, and the bear blocks the light because the bear is opaque, and his shadow is in front of him. So there are lots of fun little challenges. Can you make the shadow be behind the bear? In front of the bear? Can you make the shadow way bigger than the bear? What about a place? Can you find a place where you can barely see the shadow at all? Now, you can also figure out, is there a place where you can put the bear so that he's still on land on the green part, but his shadow is in the lake? Now, can you get the tiny bear to have his shadow cover one of the fish? There we go, look at that. So there are all sorts of fun little questions here, and shadow exploration is just very fun. Now, if you don't have little bears, I bet that you have something else that you can use. Some other little toy. And it's actually even more fun if you have lots of different kinds of little plastic toys. Maybe you got a little dinosaur and a little bird, anything. And you can test and see what the shadows look like. How do they look when the light is very far away versus very up close? And maybe if you can pick up your items. So can you make the shadow look like a bear? I think it looks like a bear like that. Can you make the shadow not look like a bear? Well, if I turn it on its side, it's hard to tell what is making that shadow. Now, when you go out on your walk today, when you're walking around, look and see where is everything's shadow. And I think that today it's a nice sunny day. It's probably going to stay clear all day, just like yesterday. So there will probably be shadows everywhere you look. Now, when you go outside, and I think it's probably a good idea, you can probably do it right now, go outside, go to your driveway with some chalk and outline the shadow. You might need to have a helper to outline your own shadow so you can stand up nice and tall. Now, remember exactly where you stand so that when you go out on your walk, come back, well, some time has passed. The sun is in a different part of the sky. So trace your shadow again, stand in the exact same place, and trace your shadow again, maybe in a different color of chalk, and do that all day, every hour, every 2 hours. Just whenever you think of it, go outside, trace your shadow. And I bet that you will find that your shadow changes. Now, does it change shape? Does it change size? Does it change direction? And when you're going on your walk, is your shadow leading or is your shadow following you? Now, Mandy, I have a joke for you today.
Okay.
What is as big as an elephant but doesn't weigh anything at all?
I don't know.
An elephant's shadow. But as you'll find today, after you go and trace your own shadow and start investigating the shadows of the things around you, your shadow is only the same size as you a couple times a day. Sometimes it's bigger and sometimes it's smaller. All right, now I think that that is all that we have for you today. Remember to tune in tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. and I will tell you all about the moon.